associated with railroads. Okay, first thing. You have a good friend here in the front row. That good to see you, my friend. It's an honor to be here, and I want to say that I appreciate so much. Smart people that know a lot more than I do, and it doesn't take much to accomplish that. One talent I bring to the room is I understand I'm never the smartest guy in the room. I think it's very important to be becoming the statewide regulator of oil and gas and energy and uranium and coal and all these things like that. There are weird times that we're facing. Before I express my right-wing extremist positions on things, come across as a flat earther in 10 minutes, because there's not enough time for everything. I did introduce the first biomass bill in the state of Texas. I'm from Deep East Texas, so timber, lumber was our product, and so I introduced the biomass. Texas Southern eventually bought out there that took the scrap timber from Deep East Texas and Nacogdoches, Texas, outside there, and we did that. I was the author of that in the House. I was a greenie at that time, labeled by a lot of my friends, but I'm for technology. That is what makes America go. What concerns me are those folks that many times in the past in our environmental movement, we might want something to shut up, in the environmental movement have not considered in their statistics human technology. I mean, that's pretty bold is what we've seen. You say, if we keep doing this, we're gonna be, in 50 years, it'll be waves over our shores and all this thing like that. We don't keep doing things as we are. That's why I enjoy coming and seeing young people that dedicate their lives to studying and learning, professors that have taken the time, and professionals that understand their new technologies every day. That's what makes us different as humans from the animals out here drilled the walking planet. Let me real quickly say, I'm an old banker. I'll tell you I'm quick, I'm talking too fast. But my wife's in the car, so she can't complain, so I'll talk fast. I'm an old banker. Okay, I spent 15 years in banking. The last 35 years I've been a stockbroker, financial planner. So I kind of look at the cost end of it. Now, I think that the oil and gas industry has gotten kind of a bad rap from things, and I think I'm all for startup money. Okay, a lot of people in the legislature and are not for startup dollars. They ought to do it themselves in the free market capitalist system. I love startup dollars. I help fund. The governor always has a great fund that he funds new industry, new ideas. In fact, I worked on IADC-TAMU. I was the first vice chair. Governor Abbott appointed me to the 31 states that do oil and gas and Canada. And so I've worked a lot nationally with those, with the Department of Energy. And we are North Dakota has a great program that Governor Burgum I visited with. They have the governor's office matches about $10 million and the industry matches 10. And they have what's like a shark tank where professionals like you will come with your ideas or new industry, especially the smaller ones that don't have funding to do it. And they'll come for that group, and whatever the industry plus the representatives vote, they get funding 50% matching what they can raise in the private sector for new technology. North Dakota did their drone system that patrols their pipelines by developing that and finding a new startup business. I think that's exciting. I promote that. But let me tell you where I think we find ourselves in the state of Texas is that, and in America, is we found that I think, sadly, it may take something like this horrible, heinous situation in Ukraine to really identify what oil and gas is on planet Earth. Number one, I'm all for startup money for windmills and solar panels. Okay, great. I just think 20 plus years is a little long startup money. Okay, you take what's happening right now. Let's do a no cost benefit analysis. Now I know that President Biden ordered on his first day or in his first week, his administration ordered that you could not do a cost benefit analysis on an environmental project. I don't understand that, but let's just do one real quickly on windmills and solar panels versus oil and gas. Okay, let's take a windmill and an oil derrick. It's a pretty good comparison to put side by side. Right now, that oil derrick, the oil derrick lasts from 50 to 70 years, and to clean it up is cost about $25,000. Okay, that's your ratio on that. A windmill lasts from 10 to 15 years and costs $535,000 to take down. A little expensive, and where you get renewable in that is if you renew it for $500,000 on a windmill, it costs about $25,000 on an oil derrick. And the number of employees during that term are quite significantly different between the two. Then we looked, okay, what makes it sustainable? We went through a storm back in Uri. I was 5.5 days by myself without electricity, so I felt the pain of our country during that storm. By the way, I was outside the grid. And what we find when you start looking at the sustainability of it, what we have to have a wind and solar to ever be sustainable and reliable is backup, some type of storage. And we've explained a good system I heard here on batteries, which I think technology will develop that one time. We've seen some here on the batteries that you're working with in your company. That's what's coming in the future. Right now, if you take 6 hours on natural gas, costs about $30,000. The same amount of electricity sustaining our society, our work, our lights and all on wind, batteries for backup. Batteries for backup is about $30,000 for 5 hours of natural gas. The same amount for the current technology in barrels and batteries is $600 million. You got that? $30,000 to $600 million. Elon Musk and Toyota came up with an article. There's not enough electricity for an energy fleet of electric cars in the United States. So we've got to realize what the realism is. And you look at the war that currently is being there with this horrible situation. Just 1 year plus ago, for the first time in 70 years, we had energy dominance, okay? Energy dominance, where we were as a position, is we as the state of Texas, were we a nation, were number 3 in the world in the production of energy, oil and gas, okay? A year later, we're in a much different situation in the world. It's amazing some of the, so what I'm saying is that we are not yet to the point that we should be funding, and I don't care where renewable comes, it costs a lot to renew wind and solar. I think what we want is clean, plentiful, reliable, and cheap energy. Does that make sense? Clean, plentiful, reliable, and cheap. Right now, we hear this accepted thing of we all want to go green, right? You hear that all the time. You hear many of our good friends and my friends in the legislature are saying we're for all the above energy, right? That's the catchphrase, all the above. No, we're not. We're not for dirty, expensive, non-productive energy, and there's a lot of it running around. So I think what we've had is a situation socially, and I understand I can't come here today for ESG funds. These are our ESG, and that to me, as an old banker and stockbroker, are these ESG funds, environment, social, and governance funds. Let me tell you what's happened, just an example, since I'm short on time on this one. I went and spoke with Energy Transfer, one of our biggest pipeline, and the biggest in the United States, I think, pipeline group, and they're board about 3 or 4 years ago. And their gentleman from Wall Street, their broker, was there in the meeting. He said, the finding in West Texas and all the flaring that we're seeing coming from that has gotten Mr. Bloomberg, the Rockefeller family, Mr. Al Gore, a lot of other folks have come together and started what they call environmental, social, and governance funds. They're stopping financing, okay, for oil and gas because of the terrible pollution that Texas is doing with this new find in the Permian Basin. Now let me go quickly give you the stat. By the way, I am the only railroad commissioner in the last 50 years that has voted against flaring permits. Register that. I'm not the rabid liberal on this stuff or conservative. Understand that on the ESG funding, when we in Texas prior to COVID, the entire state, Permian Basin all, the amount we were flaring was 2.7%. All the natural gas in the state of Texas being produced, 2.7%. Fell to about 1.9% during COVID. As of last year, January, we were at 0.7%. Mid-year, 0.5%. Today, we're less than 0.2%. I guess 0.19, something like that. Now, understand how the public is being expressed in this thing. Flaring is a horrible thing. From flaring, get this, 99.8% is not being flared. But Wall Street has taken $18 trillion away from funding Texas and America's oil and gas projects. I led the resolution by the 31 states that produce oil and gas to the administration, to Congress, saying we do not appreciate or want or support ESG funds. And so after a while, I had Phil King, a friend of mine who is running for Senate right now, and Senator Burwell, who's the chairman of Energy in the Senate, did a bill. And it said, if you discriminate by industry or guns, you got to put guns with everything in Texas. Industry guns, that we will not put any of our state dollars. We get teachers' retirement fund, the employee retirement fund, the permanent school fund, a lot of dollars, hundreds of billions of dollars. And the top ESG company that had really instituted this, all of a sudden had in hand their top lobbyists from Washington and their man for oil and gas were in my office begging for forgiveness. Okay? And so they got money cut off, and it's sad to say that's how government runs. That's how most things run, is who gets the money and who doesn't get the money on projects of any kind. But folks, we then come to there to find out that in the same weekend I had them in my office telling me untruths that their chairman was really misquoted in the media, okay? And that they really were friends of oil and gas. Well, I had a letter come out from the chairman of the Federal Reserve out of Dallas that asked the investment companies in New York, literally asked the SEC to please question them because they were saying one thing to the legislators in Texas and practicing something else. There was another filing by the SEC against them, this same company, that said, you are violating federal securities laws, because what they are doing is moving shareholders' dollars in their current mutual funds without shareholder notification or permission into their ESG funds without shareholder permission, which is against security laws. But the reason they're doing that is they are falsely showing there's this big move away from oil and gas into these environmental funds, and they are doing that illegally through pressured funding of their shareholders. So I'm about out of time, but there are a lot of questions in what's being done, folks, in this market. And it's, I think, fair, right, legal, but again, we want cheap, plentiful, reliable, safe energy in this land. And currently, now let's take, I'll close with this. And I got a lot more, I talk too much. You take the storm ahead was a great example of reliability. During that storm, wind and solar fell from 28% of the grid of electricity. Now, we don't do electricity, we do the natural gas that goes to it. Natural gas, again, was 99.5% of the folks that turned on a burner, went to get propane, got it during the storm. And one big secret, by the way, that happened, and this is kind of, I think, a neat fact. While the production of natural gas went from 48 to about 70% during that storm, it wasn't record production, but it was record distribution. How do you distribute a record amount of natural gas, but production is not at its maximum level? Because the unknown hero in the state of Texas is the underground storage. We have it all over the state, like no other state has in America. So while the production go up, we just turn on the valve to underground storage, and natural gas, 99% of folks, again, got natural gas during the time. Amazing. But also during that time, wind that went down from 28 to 0.5, natural gas went from 48 up to about 70%. At that same time, what we did not have was reliable energy. And I did a piece in the Wall Street Journal. We happy to give you a copy of it. I'm very proud. I mean, it speaks badly of the Wall Street Journal. They published me, but they did. And basically, in the East Texas A&M thing is, we have spent so much money, $39 billion of taxpayer dollars in Texas, so by the end of the decade, according to Texas Public Policy Foundation, we have spent so much money supporting unreliable energy, we have let the pilot light go out on reliable energy. We have zero natural gas that were planned at that time, zero nuclear, zero coal. In fact, we've got one woke corporation that's coming into the state that's decided they're going to shut down one of our remaining 35-year under current technology electric generating reliable sources of coal up in Longview. They're going to shut it down because they're going to write off as a depreciated asset. Okay? And be so proud that they're woke. They shut down the coal mine. Aren't we glad? Thousands of Texas jobs and reliability. So we are building no reliable since the storm. In fact, wind and solar up 17% since the storm. And we have zero regular. We're getting 1,000 people a day moving into the state legally. And what we're looking for is less production since Storm Uri. That's a problem. Okay, I could keep going on, but I appreciate so much the work that you're doing, and smart people, good people in the education system and in our industry. The free market system is the answer. Nobody, America doesn't play second rate to anybody. Texas doesn't either. But right now, as has been stated, the big devil of oil, gas, and coal, let me give you a stat. The last 100 years, we have decreased environmental deaths by 99%. During, and in a tour with the energy department, they said, the stats are, of all the dangerous chemicals as identified by the Environmental Protection Agency, the last 50 years, we have decreased it by over 77%. The idea that people think that oil and gas and our industry with technology, we are the cleanest industry, cleanest industrialized country on planet Earth. President Biden, as much as he's against oil and gas, in the last speech he gave before the State of the Union, he said, we're only 15% of the world's environment. The rest of the world is 85%. If we did everything right, it would make no difference. That's why I signed the Paris Accord my first day. Get this, if it doesn't make any difference, we're gonna take literally millions of jobs, trillions of dollars, and lose that, plus lose the reliability that we've proven. And this is, I've got a little sheet out there that you're welcome to carry with you. And the Railroad Vision has a lot of facts I don't have time to bring you. My copy of the Wall Street Journal piece, we were dumb enough to put something in that I wrote, is there. But it's an honor to have been able to speak to you, and thank you for the business you're in. Thank you, young people, for working on an industry that's going to keep the world going, not just America. And it's an honor to have been asked to be here today. Thank you.
Thank you.